Welcome to episode 2 of Authentic Vibrations. In this episode, we're discussing the topic of self-love and its impacts on living authentically. I'll share some of my own journey and highlight some ways I've made self-love a priority. Let's get into the vibes. Enjoy the show. Hey, y'all, it's Terrell, aka The Relist, and welcome back to episode 2 of Authentic Vibrations. First of all, apologies on the length of time between our first introduction episode and this second episode. Life has been lifing, y'all, and it has been a busy couple of weeks. Obviously, there's also a lot going on in the world around us. But in the spirit of keeping our vibes high and the energy authentic, we're not going to get pulled into that riffraff. I wanted to unpack the topic of a love divine, as I think this last few weeks has really had me reflecting on the concept of love and being a Black woman in America. I think there's many layers and dimensions within the intersections of our lives. And as a 40-something Black woman, I'm just now, I think, starting to unpack some of those things for myself. I think with this past month of February, with Valentine's Day and Black History Month being the vibe, it's really brought that concept of self-love to the surface for me. When we think of self-love, we might consider how we appreciate ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, having a high regard for our well-being and our happiness. But it begs the question, are we truly doing ourselves justice when it comes to how we love on ourselves? Are we truly embracing ourselves in self-love? As I unpacked some of these thoughts for myself over the last few weeks, it's really come to the forefront for me that we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned through our learned behaviors, through those past experiences and situations, as well as generational trauma that's been passed down to us. It's all encouraged us, I would say, to be selfless to the point of self-destruction. And we tend to equate self-love as being selfish or indulgent in some way. Add to that the fact that society and Western culture tends to perpetuate the idea that our outside world, what our job is, right? How much money we make, the credentials that we carry, what our body looks like. It views those things as being more important than our internal worlds, how we feel, our self-image, our passions and our desires, and just truly being our authentic selves. And that's where the struggle begins, right? We're constantly seeking out that validation and acceptance from a society that's lacking in itself. That in turn starts to leave us lacking in that love that we should be embracing amongst ourselves. And because of this, we'll always be a victim to the system. And we live in this world that, again, it starts to play on our self-doubt and that need to be loved or need to be viewed as loving, and just completely misses the mark on providing us the spaces that we need to truly embrace ourselves in that self-love. So this has been a significant focus for me lately. And if I'm being honest, I would say for the last few years, I think as I've entered that new season in my life, it's really started to have me question how I'm loving on myself. How am I showing up for myself in love? I feel like self-love has become the mantra for many, but is it truly our MO? Are we standing on self-love or simply succumbing to the societal trend that forces us to showcase that love for likes? Are we just doing it for the gram? It's a question that I've definitely struggled with myself. Again, particularly over the last few years, love and particularly self love has always been a complicated emotion for me. Not being raised in that traditional mother father dynamic, feeling that abandonment from an early age by the ones that you think should love you unconditionally. Those things have definitely defined for me how I view love, right? How I feel love relates to me. When you expect to be loved and receive love fully from those closest to you, and you don't get that, you don't feel that love, our flawed minds equates that to not being enough, to not being worthy of receiving love. And then that in turn, it starts to impact how we engage with the concept of love in general. And then it affects so much of how we love on ourselves. I can say for me, it's impacted so much of my life, so much of the choices that I've made in my life, from the fair weather friendships to the abusive and toxic relationships that all led to just a distorted view of myself as a friend, as a partner, and even as a parent. I was at a point in my life where I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel worthy, and that started to manifest as me not loving myself. I was acting out triggered emotions that honestly I didn't even know existed until I started to experience certain shifts in my life. I started to question my sense of belonging, my worthiness. Being let go from a job after 14 years. Navigating a marriage that eventually led to a very nasty and messy divorce. And even now, as a Black queer woman navigating the world post-election, all of these things, all of these moments, they bring up those feelings of not being enough, of not feeling loved or feeling unwanted. It starts to engage those trauma responses that stem from our encounters with love or that perceived lack thereof. If love is our natural inheritance, it should be at the forefront of everything we do. But of course, our relationship with love, it's impacting our capacity to love overall. That past trauma, it starts to trigger that lack of self-esteem, self-doubt, feeling fear, shame, or guilt, or just feeling disconnected from the emotion of love altogether. We take all of these feelings, right? And it's like baggage. We take these feelings from relationship to relationship, from situation to situation. And I think Erykah Badu said it best, right? Bag lady, You gon' hurt your back, dragging all them bags like that. Yeah, didn't know I was gonna sing on here, huh? Because I didn't either, but there we are. But this baggage is weighing us down, right? Are we acknowledging this? Are we acknowledging the weight that we carry from situation to situation? Are we acknowledging that this weight might have so much to do with that love that we felt we lacked? If we listen further in that song, she also offers a solution. Bet your love will make it better. Are we allowing love to make it better? And not that external love, right? Not that love that exists outside of ourselves as we seek validation from a society that's lacking in love, but that internal love that starts with self. I've been asking myself these questions a lot lately, right? Especially as I navigate my own journey to self-love. Am I allowing love to make it better? Am I allowing love to actually heal me? The greatest gift we can offer ourselves is love. How we show up in that love, though, depends on where we're at in that season of our lives. So in this episode, I want to share some impactful experiences and some helpful resources that have inspired me to truly show up in that divine love that is self-love. In How to Love, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, when we feed and support our own happiness, we're nourishing our ability to love. So self-love is, in essence, the foundation for loving others. When we nourish ourselves with self-love, we start to share from that abundance and we can give from our overflow. Another quote from How to Love states, when we learn to love and understand ourselves and have true compassion for ourselves, then we can truly love and understand another person. Authentically loving ourselves is the catalyst for how we love others. So how do we do that? How do we authentically show up for ourselves in self-love? First of all, it starts with the awareness and acknowledgement of love being the foundation of our existence. I think there also needs to be an intentional inquiry into our own relationship with love and how that manifests for us as self-love. We should celebrate love in whatever way resonates for us individually. I think with a holiday like Valentine's having just passed, this was a good reminder for me to lead with love and compassion for myself and others. Again, how you decide to show up in that love is completely up to you, but make sure you're leading with loving kindness for yourself first and foremost. I'll share a few ideas and insights that I've been focused on to be more intentional with how I love on myself, as well as some additional resources that I've used to truly make self-love the priority and not just a passing trend. I think self-love should be more than just an act of kindness towards yourself, but it needs to be a radical rebellion of self-acceptance that allows you to authentically embrace your whole self regardless of what society deems appropriate or acceptable. I'll list a few of those resources in my show notes, but I'll also, again, highlight a few things that I feel have just allowed me to intentionally show up in love with myself. So, first of all, I was intentionally Black and proud. I celebrated Black History Month by showing up as my authentic self in every space. I made a point to wear the images and showcase Black representation throughout the month of February and really highlight the beauty that is us. I was also able to kind of step back into a part of myself that had, I would say, gone into hibernation. I took part in a Black History Month community program where I was able to share an original spoken word piece and really allow my creativity to flow as I graced the stage this past month. I also shared space and love with some beautiful ladies that I have the pleasure of calling my friends. We celebrated our first Galentine's together with a sleepover, total vibes, the night and the company. And this was so healing and such an act of love for myself because I've always struggled with those feminine dynamics when it comes to friendships and relationships. I've had a lot of shifts in those areas over the course of my life. So being able to relish in my soft girl era with these ladies and truly build on a healthy sisterhood, it was definitely healing and something that allowed me to sit in self-love. I also spent a weekend away with my wife in St. Augustine, celebrating love and Black History Month all at once. And it just truly allowed me to embrace all the parts of me as a Black queer woman in that space. And if you've ever been to St. Augustine and experienced the energy there, then likely you know what I'm talking about. I've also found some other intentional moments of happiness that have allowed me to prioritize myself, whether it was me resting when I needed to, journaling, reading, starting this podcast. Self-love for me goes beyond those physical acts of self-care. It's any and all things that allow me to show up genuinely and authentically as myself. It's how I speak to myself and how I allow that self-talk to guide and direct my steps. It's setting boundaries and removing myself from toxic energy in relationships. It's using no as a full sentence. It's making space for the quiet moments. It's sitting in nature, binge watching a nostalgic show or movie. It's doing nothing at all. It's me showing up with authentic vibrations everywhere I stand. I hope you enjoyed exploring this topic of a love divine with me. I'd love to hear how you're navigating your journey to self-love. Feel free to drop me a comment, like, follow, and share this podcast. I appreciate your support in keeping the vibes high and the energy authentic always. Until the next time.